The Galactic Council chamber was one of the most remarkable places in the galaxy. It was a structure that seemed impossible to build, yet it stood as a symbol of unity. It floated in orbit around a neutral star, massive enough to house thousands of representatives from all known civilizations. From the outside, the chamber looked like a shining crown of light, with towers stretching toward the void and energy shields glimmering in soft colors. From the inside, it was even more grand. A hall of endless seats, rising upward in layers, each species with its place, each flag glowing above their representatives. On this day, the chamber was filled with voices. Strange sounds of alien languages echoed against the high arches. Some species spoke in chirps and whistles, others in deep rumbling tones, and still others communicated through flashes of bioluminescence. 1,000 conversations blended into a hum that seemed alive. Yet despite all this noise, a subtle tension lingered in the air. Many sensed that something unusual was about to happen, though they did not know why. At the center, where the floor of the chamber curved into a great platform, stood the humans. Unlike many species that required translators or complex devices, humans had chosen to speak in a single, simple voice. Their representative, Ambassador Elaine Carter, stood tall and calm. She wore no armor, no extravagant robes, only a dark suit marked with the emblem of Earth. Her eyes swept across the chamber. She waited for the voices to quiet. Slowly, the hum faded until only the soft pulsing of the chamber's energy fields remained. The council chair, a tall crystalline being known as Ithalquar, shifted its faceted body to face the humans. Its voice rang out in a tone like shattering glass. "Representative of humanity, you may speak." Elaine Carter inclined her head respectfully. Her voice was steady, but it carried far, amplified by the chamber systems. "Honored Council, for centuries humanity has stood among you. We have debated, we have traded, we have fought wars when asked, and we have given aid when others could not. We have sought to uphold unity, peace, and cooperation. But today we come not with requests or offers. Today we come with a decision." A ripple of unease spread across the seats. Species shifted, antennae twitched, wings fluttered, and eyes blinked in confusion. Few could imagine what decision would be so heavy in tone. Elaine paused only briefly before speaking again. "We can no longer remain a part of the Galactic Council." The silence that followed was complete. Even the air itself seemed to stop moving. No species had ever left the Council since its founding thousands of years ago. The chamber was a place of permanence, a body believed to be eternal. To suggest leaving was not only shocking, it was unthinkable. Finally, laughter broke the silence. A reptilian delegate leaned forward, his scales gleaming. "Surely this is a negotiation tactic. Humans enjoy their games. They are trying to gain leverage." His words were quickly followed by more voices, some dismissive, some mocking. Another representative, this one from the Gathari swarm, released a buzzing wave of sound. "Humans exaggerate. They thrive on drama. Their words cannot be trusted." But there were others who did not laugh. The older, more cautious species remained silent. They had observed humanity closely over the centuries. They knew humans were not given to empty gestures. If they said they were leaving, there was meaning behind it. Elaine Carter did not respond to the mockery. She only straightened her shoulders and said clearly, "This is not a tactic. This is not a game. Effective immediately, humanity withdraws from the Council and all associated duties. We thank you for the years shared, but we will walk our own path now." With that, she stepped back. The other human representatives stood in unison. Without anger, without ceremony, they turned and began walking toward the great doors at the chamber's edge. Their movements were calm, deliberate, almost unnervingly so. They did not rush. They did not look back. For a moment, the chamber remained frozen. Then voices erupted. "What arrogance!" shouted a delegate from the Zenthari, a species that prided itself on military might. "They cannot abandon their obligations," cried a watery envoy from the Trell, whose species relied heavily on human trade routes. "They must be stopped," growled another voice rising above the din. The council chair tried to restore order, striking the platform with a crystalline limb that rang like a bell. "Silence," Ithalquar commanded. "The humans cannot simply abandon the council. This decision requires vote, procedure, negotiation." But by then the humans had already reached the doors. They opened with a slow echoing motion, spilling blinding white light into the chamber. Without hesitation, the human delegation stepped through and vanished into the light. The doors closed behind them with finality, and just like that, humanity was gone. The chamber erupted again, this time with chaos. The council members turned on one another, shouting, demanding answers. Some called for pursuit, others for punishment. Some argued that the humans would soon regret their choice and come crawling back. Yet amid the noise, a few voices spoke softly, almost trembling. "Do you not feel it?" whispered a delegate from the Shalori, a species sensitive to emotional currents. The humans, they were calm, too calm, as if this had been decided long ago, as if they were prepared. Others dismissed the warning, but deep inside, even the most arrogant species felt a strange unease. Humanity's departure was not an outburst. It was deliberate. It was final. Outside the chamber, on the surface of the council station, human ships waited. Sleek, angular, and bristling with quiet power, they turned their engines toward the void. One by one, they left orbit, forming precise formations as they entered faster than light travel. There was no farewell message, no broadcasted explanation. Only silence. Back in the chamber, the council chair tried to restore control, but nothing felt the same. For centuries, the council had relied on the humans, not always admitting it, but always depending on their strange balance of strength and diplomacy. Now the balance had shifted. The council was still vast, still powerful, yet a subtle emptiness lingered. That day would later be remembered as the day the universe trembled. Not from war, not from destruction, but from the quiet weight of absence. Something had changed, and though most could not yet see what, they felt it deep in their bones. Humanity had walked away, and in their calm departure they left behind a storm that no one in the galaxy could yet understand. The departure of humanity from the Galactic Council spread across the galaxy like a storm of whispers. Every news network, every interstellar broadcast, and every public hall was filled with only one question. Why did the humans leave? The council had always been a stage of arguments and disagreements, but now those arguments had sharpened. Without humans sitting among them, every debate felt heavier. Trade disputes that once ended with a human compromise now dragged on without resolution. Wars that humans once calmed with diplomacy now moved closer to fire. On the council's core world, representatives gathered again to discuss the absence. The great chamber, still grand and shining, now felt strangely empty. The human seats sat unoccupied, their flag removed. For some it was a relief. For others it was like losing a limb. The chair Ithalquar spoke first, its crystalline body refracting light into sharp colors. The human's decision was reckless. We cannot allow such instability. They must be persuaded to return. But even as it spoke, murmurs filled the chamber. Persuade? Some thought persuasion was pointless. Others believed punishment was the only answer. And still others, the quieter ones, feared the humans had left for reasons far deeper than offense. A representative of the Trell rose from the watery tanks that held its form. "Honored Council, without humans, our trade collapses. Their ships patrol the lanes. Their merchants connect our worlds. Already piracy increases. Already our colonies panic. They must come back." A voice from the insectoid Gathari buzzed loudly. "Nonsense. They are only one species. We are thousands. If they will not serve, let them suffer alone. We will endure." But even the Gathari, proud as they were, had lost shipments to pirates in the weeks since the departure. Their fleets, used to relying on human support, found themselves stretched too thin. Meanwhile, in the outer colonies of the galaxy, smaller species felt fear creep into their lives. For generations, humans had been the ones to mediate disputes when larger powers ignored them. Human diplomats often listened to the weak when no one else would. Now in marketplaces under foreign suns, voices trembled. Who will protect us now? Back on Earth, the mood was different. Far from the chaos of the council, humans were quiet, deliberate, and organized. Their leaders met not in open spectacle, but in secure halls. Generals, scientists, and ambassadors sat together. They spoke in calm tones, not about what had been lost, but about what must be built. "We knew this day would come," said Admiral Ruiz, his face hard but steady. "The council grows arrogant. They depend on us but do not respect us. They believe us weak because we are polite. It was time we stepped away." Ambassador Elaine Carter, the same who had announced the withdrawal, nodded. "Their eyes are blind. But now without us they will see. In their quarrels, in their chaos, they will learn the weight of our absence. Meanwhile, we prepare." Across human space, activity bloomed. Shipyards that had long produced moderate patrol craft now worked at double pace, constructing vessels hidden from council eyes. Research stations deep in asteroid belts tested technologies that had never been shared. Colonies once quiet became centers of industry. Humanity was not retreating into weakness. It was gathering strength, yet they did so without noise. There were no threats, no declarations of war. To the outside, they seemed to vanish into their own space, closing their borders and refusing council envoys. It was silence, but silence with purpose. The council, meanwhile, began to fracture. Two long-standing rivals, the Xanthari Dominion and the Veyari Accord, had always restrained themselves under the council's watchful eye. Human negotiators had kept them apart, weaving agreements that prevented open war. Now, with no humans to stand between them, tensions flared. In one border system, fleets clashed. It was small at first, only a skirmish, but soon it spread like fire through dry grass. The council attempted to intervene, but their resolutions meant little without human fleets to enforce them. Other member states chose sides, and the council chamber echoed with angry accusations. Back in the Shalori Confederacy, a wise elder addressed her people. Her skin shimmered with light, reflecting her calm emotions. "You see the truth," she whispered. The humans did not leave in anger. They left because they foresaw this. "They know the storm is coming." Her words spread quietly among her people. The Shalori had always been sensitive to patterns, to the flows of history. They felt that the humans had not abandoned the galaxy, but had simply stepped aside to prepare for something no one else yet understood. Meanwhile, whispers reached even the criminal underworld. Pirates, smugglers, and warlords who once avoided human patrols now acted without fear, but their joy was short-lived. In systems near human borders, rumors spread of entire pirate fleets vanishing. Ships that entered human territory were never seen again. Survivors spoke of swift vessels striking without warning, of weapons unseen in council fleets. Some laughed at the stories. Others grew afraid. The galaxy was changing piece by piece, and everywhere the same question lingered. What are the humans doing in their silence? On the council world, another emergency session was called. Delegates shouted over one another. The Xanthari blamed the Veyari for escalating war. The Veyari accused the Xanthari of lies. Smaller nations pleaded for calm, their voices drowned out. The chair struggled to restore order, but every word only deepened the chaos. Finally, one representative, a small avian being from the minor world of Koresh, rose. His feathers were pale, his voice trembling but strong. "Do you not see? This is what they warned us of without speaking. This is the price of their absence. We laughed at them, but now we are lost without them." The chamber quieted for a brief moment, not from agreement but from discomfort. The words felt true, and truth was hard to face. Outside, in the great void, human fleets trained. Their engines glowed with silent fire as they maneuvered in perfect formations. Pilots drilled endlessly. Soldiers trained in orbital facilities, and commanders studied strategies never shared with outsiders. In the darkness of space, far from council eyes, humanity prepared not for vengeance, not for glory, but for survival. And though most of the galaxy still thought little of it, a subtle tremor passed through history. The humans had left the council, yes, but in their absence the galaxy was beginning to unravel. The silence of humanity was not weakness. It was the quiet before the storm. The galaxy was no longer at peace. Weeks had passed since humanity's departure from the Galactic Council, and the cracks in the Great Alliance had grown wider with every day. The Xanthari Dominion and the Veyari Accord fought openly now, no longer restrained by human negotiators. Battles lit the border systems with fire, and planets once peaceful now echoed with alarms. The council chamber tried to act as before, but its power seemed hollow. Resolutions were shouted, demands were issued, and promises of ceasefire were made. Yet no one listened. The humans had always been the ones who took those words and turned them into reality, through diplomacy or, if needed, through force. Without them, the council's words floated like dust in the air, meaningless and powerless. On a small colony world belonging to the Shalori Confederacy, farmers looked up at the sky and saw fleets passing overhead. Refugees arrived daily, fleeing war. Many whispered the same thing. If only the humans were here. The galaxy had begun to notice what few had admitted before, that humans had never been the strongest species nor the most advanced, but they had been the balance. They had carried burdens others ignored, and now with those burdens dropped, the weight crushed everyone else. In the shadows, rumors of human movements grew louder. Merchants whispered of human shipyards working day and night. Explorers told of strange new colonies built with incredible speed. Some even claimed to have seen enormous fleets drilling in the quiet edges of space. But no one could confirm these stories, because the humans refused all outsiders. Their borders, once open to trade and diplomacy, were now closed. Patrols turned away every council envoy, every trader, every spy. Inside human space, the truth was clear. Humanity was working harder than ever. In orbit above Mars, shipyards glowed with activity. Dozens of new vessels took shape every week, their hulls gleaming silver against the red planet below. These were not the old patrol craft used in council peacekeeping. These were warships, sleek and deadly, equipped with weapons no alien had seen. Entire fleets were being organized, their crews trained with tireless precision. On Luna, military academies trained soldiers day and night. Simulations of battles against unknown foes played across their visors. They studied not only council tactics but also the strategies of enemies long forgotten. They prepared for wars that had not yet begun. On Earth itself, scientists pushed boundaries. Laboratories hidden deep underground developed technologies humanity had never shared with the Council. Weapons, shields, faster engines. Projects once slowed by politics now advanced without hesitation. The planet buzzed with energy, a world united not by fear, but by resolve. And through all of this, the humans remained silent. No declaration, no message, no boast. Only silence. That silence was more frightening than any threat. The Council began to feel the pressure. Trade continued to collapse. Smaller species begged for aid, but the larger powers ignored them. Piracy spread unchecked, even mighty fleets of the Zinthari and Vayari struggled as their war drained resources. During one heated session in the council chamber, the Trail envoy rose from its watery tank and shouted, "This cannot continue. Without the humans, we collapse. We must bring them back." The Gathari representative hissed in reply, "Fools! They will not return. They have chosen isolation. If they will not join us, then let them be forgotten." But even as the Gathari spoke, news arrived of pirate fleets destroyed near human borders. Witnesses described ships moving with impossible speed, striking with precision, leaving no survivors. The Gathari fell silent. If the humans had abandoned the galaxy, they were still watching, still acting in their own way. Some species began to fear, others grew resentful, and a few, the wisest among them, began to understand. Humanity had not left in weakness. Humanity had left to prepare. On a quiet council outpost at the edge of the galaxy, a small team of explorers uncovered something ancient, machines buried in the dust of a dead world. At first they thought it was relics, ruins from a forgotten age. But then the machines awoke. The explorers sent a desperate signal before they were destroyed. The council dispatched fleets, but the machines spread too quickly. They consumed ships, dismantled them, and grew stronger. An old threat, long believed, gone, had returned, the ancient swarm from beyond the galactic rim. Panic spread through the council. Emergency meetings were called. Old enemies shouted at one another, each demanding the other take responsibility. No one trusted anyone. The council sent fleets, but they were scattered, uncoordinated, and weak compared to the swarm. For the first time, some council members whispered the words aloud, "We need the humans." In human space, news of the swarm was received without shock. In secret halls, leaders gathered again. Admiral Ruiz stood before a great star map, red lights showing the spread of the machines. "It has begun," he said. "The council will not be able to stop them. They will call for us soon." Ambassador Elaine Carter looked around the table. "And when they do?" Ruiz's eyes were hard. "We will be ready. But this time, it will not be as their servants. It will be as their saviors or their judges." The others nodded in silence. Humanity had predicted the storm, and now it had arrived. Their fleets, their weapons, their unity, it had all been prepared for this. On distant colonies, Humans looked up at the stars with determination. They knew that soon the galaxy would come begging for their aid. They knew that soon they would face not only the swarm, but also the truth of their own strength. And while the galaxy argued and faltered, humanity drilled and built. Every soldier, every ship, every scientist understood the same reality. The universe was about to tremble, and it would tremble in the shadow of humanity's return. The silence of humans was not absence, it was the deep breath before action. The ancient machine swarm did not move like any living army. It spread like a shadow, silent and cold, consuming everything in its path. It dismantled ships, stations, and even entire moons, breaking them down into raw matter to fuel its endless hunger. Where it passed, only silence and ruin remained. To fight it was like fighting the night itself. Every victory was short, every loss devastating. The Galactic Council tried to respond. Fleets from dozens of species were thrown into battle, but they fought without unity. Each commander trusted only their own kind. The Zenthari wanted glory, the Vayari demanded control, and smaller powers were left to fend for themselves. In battle after battle, the swarm tore through them, leaving nothing but wreckage. In the council chamber, panic ruled. Delegates shouted, blaming one another, their words sharp and useless. The chair, Ethalquar, tried to bring order, its crystalline body pulsing with strained light. "We must unite. We must act together," it cried. But few listened. Fear had already taken root, and through all this, one truth became clearer with every passing day. The humans had warned them, without saying a word. The swarm pushed closer to the heart of council space. Refugee ships filled the stars, carrying billions who fled from burning worlds. Communications overflowed with desperate cries for help. Some begged the council, others begged anyone who would listen. And finally, the words no one wanted to say began to echo across the chamber. "We must call the humans." At first, many resisted. Pride burned too deeply in their hearts. The Zenthari Dominion spat fire at the suggestion. "Humans abandoned us. They are traitors to the council." To beg them for aid would be humiliation. The Trell, struggling as their watery colonies fell, hissed back, "Better humiliation than extinction. Do you not see? Without them we cannot stand!" The debate raged, but even as voices clashed, the swarm advanced. Every day wasted meant another system lost. Finally, desperation overcame pride. A delegation was sent to human space, carrying a plea for help. The ships approached the borders of human territory, where silence had reigned for months. Instead of open channels and trade lanes, they found fleets. Fast human armadas, disciplined and waiting, their hulls glinting with light. The delegation's ships trembled at the sight. These were not the small patrols of old. These were fleets forged for war. A single human vessel approached, sleek and sharp. A voice came through the channel, calm but firm. "State your purpose." The alien envoys stumbled over their words, but at last they said the truth. "We beg for aid. The swarm destroys us. Alone, we will all fall. Humanity must help us." There was a long silence. Then the human voice replied, "You called us traitors. You mocked our departure. And now you beg. Do you come as equals or as those who would use us once more?" The envoys had no answer. All they could say was, "We come as those who need you." The human ship turned, guiding them deeper into human space. What the envoys saw left them speechless. World after world pulsed with activity. Massive stations orbited planets, producing endless fleets. Training grounds filled moons, where soldiers marched in perfect order. New colonies had risen from barren rocks, glowing with industry and strength. Humanity had not wasted a single moment since leaving the council. They had been preparing for this war. At last, the envoys were brought to Earth. In a great hall beneath the blue planet's sky, they met with human leaders. Admiral Ruiz stood at the front, flanked by generals and scientists. Ambassador Elaine Carter was there too, calm and steady. "You ask for our help," Ruiz said, his voice quiet but powerful, "and we will give it. Not for the council, not for your pride, but because if the swarm is not stopped, all life will fall. But understand this, when we fight as humanity. We do not return as servants of your chamber. We return as a power of our own." The envoys could only bow their heads. They had no choice, and so the humans moved. When their fleets emerged from hyperspace, the galaxy trembled. Thousands of vessels perfectly aligned, engines burning like suns, weapons charged in silence, soldiers ready with calm determination. Unlike the Council fleets, they moved as one. Every ship, every formation, every strike was precise. The first battle came near the colony world of Atheris, where the swarm had already begun dismantling orbital defenses. Council fleets had fallen back, beaten and scattered. When the humans arrived, they did not hesitate. "Engage," Ruiz ordered. The human armada descended upon the swarm like a storm of fire. Ships unleashed weapons the galaxy had never seen. Lances of energy that cut through the machines, torpedoes that shattered entire clusters, electronic waves that froze enemies in place. Squadrons of fighters darted through the chaos with flawless coordination, striking and retreating in perfect rhythm. For the first time, the swarm faltered. From distant observation posts, Council species watched in awe. They had expected resistance, perhaps even a small victory. But what they saw was something else entirely. The humans were not just fighting, they were dominating. Every maneuver spoke of years of preparation. Every weapon revealed technology never shared. Every victory showed unity that no other species could match. The swarm retreated from Atheris, broken for the first time in its advance. Across the galaxy, words spread like fire. "The humans are fighting. The humans are winning," refugees cheered. Soldiers wept with relief. Even the proudest rulers, those who had mocked humanity, sat in silence as reports arrived of their victories. Yet with that relief came something else. Fear. For if the humans could shatter the swarm so easily, what else could they do? What power had they hidden during their silence? In the council chamber, delegates no longer shouted as before. They sat in uneasy quiet, watching news of human battles. Some whispered hope, others whispered dread, and still the humans said nothing. They issued no speeches, no demands. They fought in silence, their fleets moving from battle to battle, saving worlds without fanfare. But those who studied closely could see the truth. The humans were not simply saving the galaxy. They were reshaping it. Their fleets did not wait for council orders. Their armies did not ask permission. They acted on their own, answering only to their leaders. The council had begged them for help, and humanity had answered. But in doing so, humanity had shown the galaxy a new reality. They were no longer members of the council. They were beyond it. On Earth, Admiral Ruiz stood before another star map, this one showing the swarm's retreat. His eyes narrowed. This is only the beginning. They will return stronger, and when they do, we will be ready. But the council, they are already broken. They will never be the same. Ambassador Carter placed a hand on the table, and the galaxy will see us as we truly are. Outside, human fleets gathered once more, their engines blazing. The swarm would come again and the galaxy would tremble again. But now all eyes looked to humanity. The storm had arrived, and humanity stood at its heart. The galaxy had always believed the council was eternal. For thousands of years it had stood as a symbol of peace, balance, and order. But now, in the shadow of the ancient machine swarm, it was clear to all. The council was weak. It was humanity that stood strong. The victories of human fleets spread across the stars like light chasing away darkness. Colony after colony was saved. Refugees were taken in. The swarm was pushed back further than anyone believed possible. But with every triumph, the truth became sharper. The humans were not simply fighting to defend the galaxy, they were leading it. And the galaxy was following, whether it wished to or not. On the council's central world, the chamber once again filled with noise. Delegates shouted, argued, and whispered in secret corners. But the tone was no longer prideful. It was fearful. "They fight without our command," cried the Xanthari representative, his scaled body trembling with anger. "They ignore our council. They act as if they rule the stars," the watery envoy of the Trell replied, voice soft but heavy. "Would you rather they had not acted at all? Your fleets were shattered. My colonies burned. It is only because of the humans that we still breathe." Others murmured in agreement, but unease remained. The council had asked for help. Humanity had answered. Yet now it was the humans who decided where battles were fought, what worlds were defended, and what strategies were followed. The balance of power had shifted completely, and everyone knew it. Meanwhile, in human space, the mood was focused and calm. The people did not cheer in loud parades, nor did they celebrate with grand speeches. Instead, they worked harder. Shipyards continued to build. Soldiers trained without pause. Scientists refined weapons and studied the swarm. Humanity knew the war was not over. The swarm had been beaten but not destroyed. It would return. Admiral Ruiz studied a star map in a dark chamber, his officers around him. Red markers showed the swarm's last known positions, scattered along the rim of the galaxy. "They are regrouping," he said. "We struck them hard, harder than they expected. But they are machines. They do not feel fear. They will learn, adapt, and strike again." Elaine Carter stood beside him, her hands folded behind her back. "The Council will hope you fight for them again. But will they understand what that means?" Ruiz's expression was firm. "It no longer matters what the Council understands. Humanity cannot fight for them. We fight for life itself. If they survive, it is only because we have chosen to act." His words were true. Across the stars, ordinary people, alien and human alike, began to see humanity not as members of a council, but as guardians. Refugees spoke of human soldiers who had protected them with kindness. Traders whispered of human fleets that restored safe routes. Even species that had mocked humanity now admitted their survival depended on them. But this growing respect was mixed with fear. For if the humans could save the galaxy, they could also dominate it, and no one knew what they would choose. The swarm's second wave struck with fury. Vast machine fleets poured from the void, larger and more coordinated than before. Entire sectors went dark as the swarm advanced. The Council tried to rally its forces, but their fleets were broken, scattered, and divided. They called for human aid once more, and again the humans answered. At the Battle of Caloris Reach, the largest in living memory, the swarm met humanity's full strength. Thousands of human warships formed a wall of fire. Carriers released endless squadrons. Cruisers unleashed beams that split the night, and battleships rained destruction like thunder. For hours the battle raged. Council fleets fought alongside them, but it was the humans who led the charge. At last, the swarm broke. Its fleets shattered, its advance halted. Humanity had not only defeated it, they had crushed it so completely that for the first time in history, the swarm retreated into the void. The galaxy watched in awe. Billions tuned into broadcasts, seeing the human flag rise above Caloris Reach. It was the moment when all doubts fell away. Humanity was no longer just another species. They were the shield of the galaxy. But in the council chamber, silence fell heavy. No cheers, no celebrations. Only the quiet realization that the council's age of leadership was over. Humanity had done what no one else could, and the galaxy had seen it. Ithalquar, the crystalline chair, spoke at last, its voice trembling like broken glass. "They have saved us. And in saving us, they have replaced us." No one argued. Back on Earth, the celebrations were small, almost humble. Families welcomed their soldiers home. Children waved flags, and ships returned to ports lit with soft lights. But the leaders did not rest. They met again in hidden halls, their expressions calm and steady. Ambassador Carter looked at the others. "The galaxy has seen us. They will fear us now, even as they thank us. We must decide who we will be to them." Admiral Ruiz nodded. "We will not be tyrants. We will not be conquerors. But neither will we be ignored. They must understand we are not servants. We are not pawns in their chamber. We are humanity, and we will walk our own path." Around the table, the others agreed. The council would continue, but weaker, forever changed. Humanity had stepped away from it, and in doing so had proven itself beyond it. Across the stars, a new truth spread, whispered in markets, in refugee camps, in the halls of rulers. A truth no one could deny. The day the humans left the council was the day the universe trembled. And the day they returned, not as members but as saviors, was the day the universe bowed. For the first time in history, the galaxy did not look to the council for hope. It looked to Earth, and from that day forward all species knew that the age of humanity had begun,